We also today are grateful to be able to hear a report and a special presentation that comes to us from our church's building team about the proposed fellowship hall renovation that we've been considering. And it's a really important announcement for all of us and for those of you worshiping online. So I want to welcome Mike Simons to please come forward and to share with us. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Jeremy. Again, good morning. My name is Mike Simons, and on behalf of co-chair Jim Sanop and the entire building committee, I'd like to thank you for allowing us a few minutes this morning to review the proposed changes to the fellowship hall and the adjacent restrooms. Because we believe that this is a unique moment in the life of our congregation to invest in these facilities and in our future. I realize that some of you may feel that you've already got a good idea of what those proposed changes are, and some of us may actually not know that there are any changes being proposed at all. But this represents an opportunity to make a significant investment in our congregation, and so we'd like to take a moment to make sure that everybody's on the same page by reviewing three things. First, the needs that exist for revitalizing this area of the facility, the specific changes that are being proposed, and some logistics around the project. So let's get started by taking a quick look at the space and the opportunities for improvement. The fellowship hall area of the church is a sacred space. It's loaded with personal history, having originally served as a sanctuary. It's where we gather for community meals. It's where we perform mission work that sends the love of Christ through our neighborhoods and through our world. It's where we pray together, we play together, we study, we debate together. You could say that the fellowship hall reflects the very heartbeat of our congregation. But the congregation has also recognized that there are challenges to the health of that heartbeat, with three specific areas of need that stand out. The first is our need to create more space for our relational ministries. Many of us have experienced meals where we struggle to find a table to sit at, or lines stretching way down the hallway, times when our current space capacity limits our attendance, while at the same time, adjacent spaces, such as the stage or the areas immediately behind the fellowship hall, sit idle or empty. We have ministries that are doubling in size year over year, and mission projects that struggle with adequate space in the existing footprint. A second item to address is our need for increased safety and accessibility in this space. I recently went to a wedding reception in the fellowship hall, and someone announced that the restrooms that we were to use were immediately across the hall. Yeah, I felt your embarrassment and concern. I knew that not only did the attendees have to walk, past or around one of the chair racks, but that also several of the older attendees would really struggle with the facilities that we had to offer. The fellowship hall is one of the oldest parts of our campus, and it wasn't really designed to function in the way that we currently expect it to accommodate. As a result, there are prevailing issues related to safety and accessibility, as well as inefficient heating, air conditioning, lighting systems that need to be addressed. And then a third need is our need to develop a flexible and effective environment that enables a variety of forms of worship and ministry. We recently had a lock-in with about 15 fourth to sixth graders, where I was really looking forward to spending time with the kids outside our normal Bible studies. But I ended up spending all of my time trying to make the audio and video system work for one of our activities. And unfortunately, we find that we are missing out on impactful ministry or community events because the space is simply not set up to accommodate the activities that we're trying to host. These aren't new problems. In fact, there have been committees looking at these challenges for almost 7 years, and their feeling is that this facility, which has served us well for the last 60 years, should be a priority as we set our church up to be a vibrant and impactful congregation for the next 60 years. So let's take a look at the proposed changes. First, to create more space for relational ministry, we propose an increase of almost 700 square feet in floor space. To accomplish this, we would do several things. Shorten the dimensions and lower the height of the stage with a new platform to replace it. So more of the floor is accessible, and the platform that replaces the stage would be usable space instead of an area that we tell our kids to stay away from. We also propose a dedicated storage space for tables, chairs, other items that currently sit open and out in the fellowship hall 24 hours a day. We would also remove a large section of the wall in the back of the fellowship hall to allow the space that is currently storage closets to become a connected floor space that also serves as a fellowship-focused entry into the room. This would add an additional 500 square feet of lobby, overflow, and food serving space. Our overall plan is to significantly increase the space for relational ministry while creating a net gain in storage space. To increase the safety, accessibility, and efficiency of the space, we propose the following. Remodel the restroom facilities to match the occupancy and accessibility needs of the congregation. That would include adding additional space to the men's and women's restrooms to accommodate an increased number of individuals at one time. Update the bathrooms to meet all the accessibility codes, and include shower facilities within the restrooms to accommodate ministry partners that require this capability. In fact, our district indicates that these types of changes are exactly what forward-thinking congregations are installing, and they've even offered to assist with some of the cost of these changes. We would also propose to remove safety issues that exist in the current space. We would replace the stage area with an equivalent alternative that does not represent a fall hazard, would not require a handrail, and would also offer a ramp for accessibility. Eliminating the storage of tables and chairs in the common space and moving them to a designated area that is designed to safely accommodate them without blocking exits or posing a risk of tipping over. We would also add an emergency exit directly into the courtyard from the fellowship hall space, all things that the fire marshal has recommended to us. Finally, with respect to the efficiency of the space, we propose to replace some of the existing systems with efficient alternatives, eliminating all of the HVAC and baseboard vents that currently service this space, including multiple units that are already at the end of their service life. We would replace them with an optimized system and ductwork suspended from the ceiling to more efficiently heat and cool the space, replacing any non-insulated and opaque glass windows that are currently there with insulated clear glass windows that are 1 foot larger, and improving the effectiveness of the energy and efficiency of the lighting. And finally, to enable more effective forms of worship and ministry, we propose the following. Transform the stage area into a multi-use platform with enhanced capabilities, including stage lighting, large viewing screens. Enable high quality and flexible audio and video capability. Updating the appearance of the existing space to match the elevated capabilities, including new flooring, refreshing the paint on the ceilings and walls, and new light fixtures. Now, that is a lot. I feel like I'm saying, here's what we're going to do to your fixer-upper, right? We're not going to put any shiplap in, but we're going to do a lot of things that are really going to revitalize this space. It's a targeted list that has been very carefully selected to create the most impact for our ministries, while also being a good steward of our resources. So how long might these proposed changes take to implement? Well, our goal is to complete as much of these changes as possible during the summer months when the facility has a reduced level of use. Our current projection is that if we can start the project in May, we would hope to wrap up in October, if not November. The committee believes that the current scope of the project, including the construction, the outfitting expenses, any short-term financing, will total approximately $1.1 million. Now, that is a lot of money. But when you consider that there are elements of this space that haven't changed in 60 years, there may never be a better time than this for a targeted and strategic investment to set us up for the next 60 years. And the good news is that against that $1.1 million investment, we already have $410,000 in hand. That's a huge blessing. The committee believes that a capital campaign can raise the balance of the funds needed for the project without adding any long-term debt to our financial position. Now, we wouldn't pursue these types of changes and the corresponding financial obligations without giving the congregation an opportunity to prayerfully consider this proposal and to provide their opinion in the form of a vote. So, following the requirements in the discipline, we will gather on Sunday, January 26th, after the worship service for any additional discussion that is needed and to vote on this proposal. Specifically, we will leave the sanctuary after the 11 o'clock service on the 26th, gather briefly in the fellowship hall while we prepare some of the logistics, and then register our attendance and re-enter the sanctuary for the church conference at 12:30. There is one point that I need to make sure is clear about the church conference. The discipline is very specific to state that you must be present at the church conference in order to vote. These are the words in the discipline that we are required to abide by. You must be present at the church conference in order to vote. As much as we might like to or want to allow absentee ballots or proxy votes, we are not permitted to do so by the discipline. But we also recognize that attending in person is not possible for everyone in our congregation. So the church council has approved a motion that for the purposes of this church conference, attending virtually by a platform such as Zoom can meet the requirements to be present for the meeting. In this way, you will be able to not only see and hear the content of the meeting, but you will also be able to vote through the online platform. Now, in order to accommodate remote participants, we will need to make some logistical arrangements to provide you with a link to the Zoom session. There is a deadline of noon on Thursday, the January 23rd, to inform us of your attendance. Please contact the church office at 336-292-5833 or email us at the address on the screen, welcome@guilfordcollegeumc.org. We are also aware that many of you would like to participate in the church conference, but may have transportation or mobility issues, or may not be comfortable with a virtual platform like Zoom. If that is the case, we would like to help you if at all possible. If you need a ride to the church on January 26th, or if you would like to receive additional assistance on the Zoom, please call our church office at the number or email we mentioned by Tuesday, January 21st, and we will do everything in our power to accommodate your needs. We've had a few questions on this topic, so I hope that this has been clear. If you have any additional questions, feel free to speak with a member of the building committee after the service or contact the church office. I am overflowing with enthusiasm and anticipation about the future of this congregation. And that enthusiasm prompts me to imagine a facility where we meet our Elfgang kids for a lock-in on Friday night. And as we leave the next morning, a mission team is rolling in their materials to host hundreds of people for a life-changing event in the afternoon. And that is immediately followed by an organization from the community that hosts a dinner with a room full of tables and full of audio and video capabilities on that Saturday evening. So if you see that vision and you share that enthusiasm, there are three things I'd like to ask you to do. First, speak with others about how you feel that we can best use the resources that God has given us. Second, prayerfully consider how you might support these shared goals and that we have for our future. And finally, please join us at the church conference on January 26th. Thank you for the time you've given us today. If you have any questions, members of the building committee will be at the front of the sanctuary at the end of today's service. Thanks again.